Hello everyone, and today I wanted to say a few words about the concept of a spiritual awakening. I see a lot of videos about that online. A lot of people claim to have had some sort of a spiritual awakening, which is a strange claim in a sense, because the nature of consciousness is, again in a sense, awakening, meaning that consciousness is always awake to some range of reality, some range of phenomena. So let's say, for example, pretty much all of mankind, we're awakened, our consciousness is awakened, is aware of this plane, what we call the physical plane, which we become conscious through our senses. An obvious thing, everyone knows that. Most people have quite a, let's say, normal or average kind of consciousness on the astral and mental plane, which together form our psyche. So everything psychology is concerned with is basically awareness on these planes, the astral plane, the mental plane. So we're aware of the whole realm of astral phenomena, meaning desire, emotions, feelings, those things. Those things are astral phenomena. Mental plane, I should say lower mental plane phenomena is basically simply the awareness of concept, ideas, thoughts. So we all know that. We're all aware of that, more or less, and it is relative because not everyone is as aware as everyone else of those phenomena. The difficulty that people have to deal with their emotions in any way, traumas, memories, and so on, and the ability that people have to master their own mental body, their own train of thoughts, their ability to, think clearly and abstractly about complex subject. This has to do with awareness on the mental plane. We're aware of our feelings, desires, and thoughts doesn't mean that we are fully aware of them. We're partially, for most of us, me included, we are partially aware of those things. Not everyone can see with their inner eye thought forms and are able to evaluate what exactly they are and their quality. Not everyone can see, again with their inner eye, not with these eyes, but with the inner eye, astral phenomena, see the astral forms forming, transforming, and disappearing in people's aura, hovering over certain territories, certain nations, and so on. There is more to this than just what we feel inside. Most of the phenomena that we encounter in our dream state when we're sleeping, that's astral phenomena for the most part. So we have some form of awareness on these planes, and everyone does not have the same development of their awareness on these planes. But again, what I want to talk about more precisely here is we are awakened to a degree, to an extent on these planes. Now, this is psychological or psychical awakening. That's not spiritual awakening. Mental plane, astral plane, or the planes of the psyche, okay? The psyche is our astral and mental bodies together, functioning together. That's our consciousness being awakened to an extent on these planes. But those aren't the, to speak more precisely, those aren't the spiritual planes. To be awakened on the spiritual planes mean to be awakened on planes that are above the mental plane. So the planes of pure consciousness, otherwise called the soul. Are we awakened on soul planes? Do we know what goes on above the awareness of thoughts? What are the laws that pertain to those planes of pure consciousness and above? Because there is above, that's not the end of it. So the purpose of consciousness is expansion, as I've mentioned in many videos. one of the main purpose and main laws of consciousness is its natural will to want to expand, to become more conscious. But consciousness itself, its own existence, very few people on the planet are aware and understand what are the laws that have to do with the realms of soul or pure consciousness. And so very few people are actually spiritually awakened. Most people are, to an extent, psychologically or psychically awakened. People may have found out something about their own psyche, how it works, how to be more free of it, how to have a more pleasant or a more pleasant psyche, or a psyche that's less caught up in trauma or pain or suffering of some sort. But the spiritual awakening has to do with more than that, with a consciousness that has become more conscious of way more than just the psychological aspect of our human reality. So to claim that one is spiritually awakened, how can this be backed up? I don't claim it. But many, many, many people claim it. And I assure you, very few people on the planet are actually spiritually awakened. Very few. Those are still very rare. I can give you a few names. One of the most famous such person of the or the previous century was Blavatsky. So the founder of the Theosophical Society, that's an actually awakened person. Krishnamurti, that's an actually awakened person. Paramahamsa Yogananda, that's an awakened person. From India as well, Neem Karoli Baba, that's an awakened person. Sri Sathya Sai Baba, that's an awakened person. I very much suspect that Sadhguru is genuinely awakened as well. But again, there are very few of those. Very few. And being spiritually awakened doesn't mean that you become a spiritual teacher. You can be occupied with work of all kinds of work that has nothing to do with spiritual teachings per se. Fully awakened people can work in any field of human endeavor. Any field. It doesn't have to be spiritual teaching. It can be something else. And so most of the actual spiritually awakened people of the world have nothing to do with the whole business of spirituality. And most of them are unknown to the general public. Those that are in the world today and those who were in the world of the past centuries and so on. I'm pretty sure, from what I know, that most truly spiritually awakened people, the vast majority were probably not spiritual teachers at all. So, and those that exist today, pretty sure that most of them are not anywhere near some kind of new age business of some sort. And unfortunately, when there is no authentic spiritual teacher, authentic spiritual guru to guide people who are on a spiritual path, it's very easy to fall into the illusion or the false belief that you're spiritually awakened. This is a trap that comes from the astral plane. There would be a lot to say about that, but just so you know, the astral plane is very often called the plane of illusion. And so the entities this plane is made of, how they grow, how they evolve, is giving forms to your desire, like the desire to be spiritually awakened. But it remains a form, it remains an illusion